All right, everyone. The governor of the Bank of Italy actually the other day came out and said the quiet part out loud. Environmentalists are like, yeah, unfortunately, that's actually the case. I don't mean real environmentalists. I'll get to that, of course. That subtle distinction in a moment, admitting that trying to achieve net zero carbon emissions, doing the green energy shuffle, all of these other NIMBY things, hurts the poor the most. It's going to drive more people into poverty. It's going to push more people's heads under the water. And that's, I mean, it's easily explained. Think of it this way, for example. You try to convert to a solar-based economy or something like that in order to reduce your emissions. I mean, you're not really reducing the emissions. You're just transferring them over to the country where you're importing the solar panels from. It's marginally helpful if it's home solar. When you do that, people have to absorb the cost. Well, who absorbs the cost? Here's the problem with centralized government policies. They always market it as though they're going to drain, income from the super rich, and that's how they'll fund their pet projects. Really, it just trickles down to the poor. The damage inevitably does, because the rich will simply make use of tax laws or skirt regulations with their armies of lawyers and stuff like that. Or if they do get nailed, they'll just raise the price of their products. Well, some of those goods and services are necessary for people. People do have to eat, for example. It's generally recommended that you eat. If you don't, you can have health problems, like fucking starving to death. But apparently some of them don't really care. And it's almost like, like a Scrooge moment, like decrease the surplus population. Well, yeah, 10% of the population just fucking starved. It's all good. Yeah, the fact that we can't provide proper medical care to the poor, that's perfectly fine too. It's sort of different from the way that left-wing economics was acting like maybe in the 90s or the 2000s. Then it was bleeding heartism. It's like, oh my God, we need more welfare programs and stuff like that. I mean, most of it didn't work, but, at the very least, you could pitch it as being kind to the poor or something like that. Now it's more like, fuck the poor. That appears to be left-wing economics today. Fuck the poor. Yeah, if they die, it's no trouble. We want to reduce the population anyway. Depopulation sounds like a fun time. It's beginning already, actually, including in Italy, where their replacement rate is nowhere near actually a SHIB. Same with Germany, parts of the US, much of the Western developed world. The green agenda has always been bad for the poor, and it's always never really been about environmentalism. It's about power and money and screwing the poor. That's the only thing that it's about. If I was a magnate, and I seriously believed that the world was going to turn into Tatooine, or be flooded to death, or be so out of balance that everyone would get fucked, including my own kin. If I really worried about that, I wouldn't have a house a foot above sea level at Martha's Vineyard. I'd be planting trees right now, and picking up trash, and saying, look, we got to do something about this. I'd be organizing like green up day parties or something like that. And I do some things like this. For example, I made a shit ton of biochar. I'm going to pump it into the ground. It's going to be there for the next century. That carbon will not be released into the outside world except very, very slowly. The whole point is to balance your soil. It's better for ionic transfer within the soil, therefore better for growing plants. It works, trust me. I've done a few experiments. It's some pretty great shit. But you would be carbonizing things. I mean, like we talk about pumping CO2 liquefied into deep caves and caverns and sealing it up so that it stays there. It's a terrible idea. No. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is perfectly wonderful. You just need to put more carbon into the soil and then the plants will absorb it. Everything will balance itself out. That's not what we're currently doing. Oh my God, a marginal rise in CO2 concentrations. It's going to kill us all. No, it's going to make the plants grow bigger, actually. Just to be clear. And if the world is a little bit warmer, you won't find many Vermonters complaining about that, I assure you. NIMBYism is this green agenda bullshit. So, transferring to all EVs, so more Chinese lithium, transferring to, getting a lot of aluminum from China in order to make windmills. Those are a bit more helpful if they're offshore wind turbines, at least. Solar cells, instead of, subsidizing home solar, so that, like the working and middle class, they could save money, actually. They don't want you to do that. No, you pay taxes on every transaction. Why the fuck would they want you to make your own energy? They'll make a solar field next door to you, though. They'll have to burn down this piece of forest in order to do it, but, you know, that's green energy for you. It's not green energy. That's the wrong moniker entirely. It's more like hipster energy than anything else. It's hip to, you know, slap... I mean, keep this in mind. I'm not shitting on solar or other so-called renewables. Solar especially is portable. For small use, it's actually great for survivalism and stuff like that. But it shouldn't be centrally done. What should happen is that people should be incentivized to utilize solar on their own homes. So you get like a solar generator or something like that. Well, the power went out because of the hurricane, but I've still got some power. I can at least run a hot plate and an AC, and you know, my refrigerator is still running. You know, I better go and catch it, of course. Stuff like that. It can be useful. There's nothing wrong with it. But it shouldn't be centrally planned. The green energy agenda is bullshit, basically. It's been NIMBYist bullshit this entire time. God, back in the late 2000s, that's sort of where it begins, mid to late 2000s. Before that, it's recycle, reuse, reduce, and form a loop, and stuff like that, and people trying to, pick up trash and stuff like that. The NIMBYism was much more absent. I don't think that some of the younger viewers here realize how absent NIMBYism was in environmentalism back in the 1990s. Some of you may be too young to remember it. It wasn't NIMBYistic. It was Green Up Day. It was, hey, pick up that piece of trash, don't litter. Recycling bins and stuff like that. I mean, recycling has its own problems. Really, the reuse and reduce part are better, but for what it's worth, an attempt was made. Now it's like, hey, pay us money and we'll take care of the problem at the central level. Otherwise, you're all going to die. It's a bunch of scaremongering bullshit, actually, when you really think about it. So, thank you to the President of the Bank of Italy for saying the quiet part out loud. Somebody in a position of power needed to say it. That's about all. Peace out.